Good morning, Anita Dawn from Cell Pilates, and this is day 3 of my mobility challenge for this week. Today we're going to be doing ankle and foot and toes and toe mobility. You will need a chair. You will also need a mat and ideally a little bit of equipment. The spiky ball. If you don't have a spiky ball, then maybe a tennis ball or a squash ball. I wouldn't go for a golf ball though. Or instead of using the ball, you could massage your feet with your hands. Also will be useful an activation band. Don't worry, we're not going to be using it for our glute strengthening exercises. And a towel would be useful. All right, so we're just going to pop those down to one side for the moment, and we are going to start off standing. A little bit of a pulse raiser, pulse body warmer, just to increase the temperature, so we're a little bit more mobile in those joints. So do some pedaling. Do just gently hold the chair. It's not about balance, and just getting some mobility in the standing position. Lifting the heels as high as you can, really pedaling through those feet. And then we'll come down, feet hip bone distance apart, still holding onto the chair gently for balance. Come forward onto your balls of the feet and then rock back onto the heels, making sure you don't lock out the knee. So keep those knees soft as you gently come forward and then back onto the heels. And see if you can work through a bigger range, a little bit higher onto the balls of the feet, and then lift the toes a little bit higher. It's a little bit tricky that, isn't it? Yeah. 2 more times. Don't forget to breathe. Lift and rock back gently without locking the knees last time. And then come back to the center. We're going to face the chair. We're going to be doing a little bit more mobility at the ankle joint. We're going to lean forward slightly, hands on the back of the chair, hips facing forward, feet hip distance apart. Slide that left foot back so you see that straight line through my head, my hips and my back heel. We're going to lower that heel and lift, putting a little bit of weight through it, but most of the weight is on the front leg. So when we mobilize, we don't want to have too much weight through that joint and through the muscles. So here you can really get a good range. You've got your dorsiflexion and then your plantar flexion. We also call it pointed, lift and lower. And then we're going to hold that heel back. Ideally the foot is facing forward and we're going into a calf stretch. So for a calf stretch, we want to have the legs straight, the knee is straight there. And ideally, as I said, the foot facing forward. Really important that we stretch out that calf on a regular basis, particularly if you're wearing heels. That tends to shorten it. So let's step in and take the weight onto that left leg. Slowly take that right leg back. You've got that lean forward and we're going to lower and lift the heel. So most of your weight is on the front leg and just getting some beautiful mobility through that back ankle. Really lift the heel as high as you can, and then you're going into, as I mentioned, that's flexion. We call it dorsiflexion, and pointing, which is called plantar flexion. Then we're going to hold the heel down and feel that stretch. We want to stretch about 6 out of 10, 10 being max, and 1 being too light to make an effect on the muscle or the joint. Beautiful. Then we're going to come out of that, step forward and bring yourself up, and we're going to sit on the chair. So I'm going to be facing you, make sure my feet are in the picture, and we're going to take the prickly ball to start with. We're going to place that under, let's have mirror image to me. Come forwards towards the front of the chair and have that nice neutral spine. So you're working your core a little bit. And we're going to place the prickly ball or the tennis ball, what you have. Now, if you don't have one, what you want to do is, and this might be a bit tricky if your hips are a little bit stiff, is just to really massage the ball of your foot with the fingers and the thumbs. So if you don't have a prickly ball, then do get one. They're really useful. So I'm stabilizing my position with my right leg, and I'm working through pressing into that prickly ball with that left leg. Mirror image, same side. Start to put a little bit of weight into it, and going all the way from the toes all the way through the heel, and then a little bit faster. So just really waking up those nerve endings and really helping the foot to become more mobile. And then let's change it over onto the other foot. Yeah, so start off pretty slow and rolling that ball between the toes, from the toes back to the heel. Just good to get it just below that knee, so you've got a little bit of weight going through it. Still sitting up nice and tall. And then a little faster. Really warming up those muscles, getting more lubrication on those joints in between those little bones in the foot. And then release. All right, lovely. So then we are going to leave the ball for the moment. And you could actually sit back for this one if you want to. We're going to bring that left knee in towards the chest and hold on to it. And we're going to circle the foot round, maximum range. So pretty slow, maximum range through that ankle joint. And don't forget to breathe. Always think about your upright posture and supporting that leg. So I don't want you gripping in the quads and the hip flexors there. The arms are doing a little bit of a workout, I know, and rotate round the other way. Big circles with the toes and the whole of the foot, maximum range of movement through that ankle, those ankles. Yeah, fabulous. And let's change. So give that one a little bit of a rest. And sitting up tall, you can lean back into that chair, that's okay. And we're going to circle the foot. There's quite a lot we can do to mobilize the toes, the feet, and the ankles. So today we're just doing a little bit of a taster session, or just your really basic, let's circle it around the other way, your really basic mobility exercises that you need to be doing on a regular basis for the feet and the ankles. And the toes. All right, lovely. And then we're going to go back to the first one. Yeah. So this time we're going to do eversion and inversion. So you want that neutral position in the foot. So it's like a right angle at the ankle joint. And then you're going to turn the sole of the foot towards this side of the body, and then the other way. Okay, so just really using those muscles. So not only is this mobility, you're actually working the muscles. And when we get onto the floor, we'll do a little bit more mobility using perhaps the towel or the activation band. Yeah, so that's really good to get those muscles a bit stronger. But this is not really about strengthening, it's about mobilizing. Let's do that on the other side. So the foot is in its neutral position. And we're going to invert and evert that foot. So you notice it goes inwards a little bit more easily, but we don't want to force that. Otherwise, it weakens the outside of the foot, particularly if you're prone to sprain your ankle to go over on the foot. A little bit difficult to do the opposite there. Don't forget to breathe. Fabulous. And then let's relax that. Alrighty, so we're going to go down onto the mat now and grab your activation band if you've got it, and your towel. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my chair. We won't be needing it again unless, well, I was going to say unless you need it to get up, but we'll be finishing the class on the floor. So coming down here, beautiful. Hopefully you can see. I could go a little bit closer to the camera there, couldn't I? Yeah. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is actually sit down. So you might want a cushion as well, or a block, so that you can sit up pretty straight without too much gripping in your leg muscles. So we've got this Pilates block there. And I'm going to take the activation band. If you don't have one, then I'm sure you've got a towel. And you see how I've folded it in 3. So it's just, we're going to use it like this. All right, and exactly the same as you would with the activation band. why I like the activation band is you've got a little bit of stretch, but not much. And you've got rubber on the inside, so that really grips the foot quite nicely. So I'm going to have my right leg bent to give me a little bit of stability in this seated position. And I'm going to lean forward a bit. So soften that knee. That's okay to bend that knee. And then I'm going to get a good grip on the activation band, thinking about my spine, and we're going to do that eversion there and inversion. So pulling this time, so the muscles, it's not a strengthening exercise. I'm actually using the band to create that stretch in the ankle there, side to side. And I find that the activation band actually works quite well on that. So if you don't have one, use the towel. Just the towel, I think, tends to slip. You could wear your sticky socks, couldn't you? All right, so that's really nice there. Let's change and do the same thing on the other leg. So we've got it in that neutral alignment position. Your towel is right under the center of the foot and ideally covering the whole of the foot. So you don't want to go any narrower than with this activation band. So the arms get quite a good workout here. I'm just inverting and everting the foot from the ankle. So feel the stretch on both sides, yeah, as you have the sole turning in and then turning out. Really pull through to feel the stretch. Beautiful. And then release. All right, so it's important that we do also have the flexion at the ankle. We call it dorsiflexion with the knee bent. So we're actually stretching the soleus muscle, which is underneath the calf muscle, but also into the Achilles. That's really important. And we'll be stretching through the toes a little bit and also stretching in point. We also call that plantar flexion. All right. And kneeling, semi-kneeling on the mat. Okay, so let's come down into our kneeling position. So I'm going to start off with some flexion on the front foot. So hopefully your back knee is okay. And I want to bring that weight forward onto that front knee. So I'm really getting a good stretch into the Achilles. Just go gently into it if you're not used to doing it. So I'm stretching into the Achilles and the soleus muscle. Really important. So the amount of flexibility that you want is you need to be able to get your knee, see how it's coming forward. It wants to be just slightly forward of the toes. And if it's not, if it's behind the toe line, then you really do need to work at it. All right, so we're going to keep in the same position, but I'm going to take my weight back. See how I've got the foot extended here, and we're going to stretch into plantar flexion on the top side of the foot. All right, so if that's a bit uncomfortable, you might want to pop the towel just under that ankle area here so there's not such a stretch. Can you see that one there? Yeah, good. And then I'm going to sit back into that leg and make sure that the foot is in alignment with the lower leg there rather than turning outwards. Yeah. So I don't get much of a stretch with the towel. So I'm going to take the towel away and really sit back. So the more you sit back, then the bigger the stretch there. Okay, so we're going to stay in this position, but we're going to take the weight forward again and we're going to curl the toes under on that leg and just slowly, so just extending through the toes. We tend to lose extension in the toes, and that does prevent us doing some of the exercises. And eventually, if you lose that mobility, it's going to affect your gait. And then we'll gently come out of that and change. Yeah, so knees hip bone distance apart, step forward, and we'll go into dorsiflexion on the front foot to start with. So I'm pushing that knee down and forward to stretch at the back here into the Achilles. I'm actually quite flexible on this foot here. Don't really need much more. All right. And then we're going to take that foot behind. No, we're not. Sorry, we're keeping that one where it is. So then we're stretching this top part of the foot there. Put the towel under the ankle joint if that's too severe a stretch. But you can gauge the more weight you take back, the more you're going to stretch through the ankle joint. Then release out of that, come forward, curl your toes under, and very gently just see if you can take some weight back with those toes in extension. Release, come forward and bring both knees onto the floor, curl both toes under, and then we can just take the weight back a little bit and do a little bit more for the toes. So you're coming almost into a box position and just rocking back onto the ball of the foot and gently coming down out of it. Okay, so finishing up with a bit of mobility. So we could cross, let me sit sideways, sit on a block if you need to, so you're nice and tall. And we're going to finish with circling the feet round, so you could just lift it up like we did in the chair and round the other way. And then the other one. And round the other way. Awesome. So I hope you felt the benefit of that, and maybe get up and walk around and see how your feet feel. And particularly, it will make a huge difference if you do get the prickly ball. If you weren't able to use that today, it really makes a difference with just relaxing the muscles in your legs and the feet. Okay, so thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. And we will be doing wrist, hand and finger mobility, one of my favorites. All right, so have a great day and thanks for joining me. Take care.